Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
We spent way too much time talking before the podcast when we should have just hit record about all these things that are really pissing me off and grinding my gears. This week, mostly on the left, by the way.
Yeah, what are we doing, guys? We're
between bitching about slightly imperfect pardons and forgetting about all the really good ones that happened, between trying to block up and coming like the next generation of Democratic leaders from assuming leadership positions when we need someone that's going to be ready to fucking fight during a Trump administration. Now we're gonna play old battles, and we're gonna make sure that instead of the 35-year-old firebrand that's broadly popular with everybody in Democratic Party politics, let's run up the 74-year-old guy who literally has cancer to head up this incredibly important committee.
It's fine. I'm sure there will be no blowback. Like, what are we doing? To me, it's amazing that we're even having these type of fights right now. And this is like, it is so indicative. Again, it all goes back to the same war that has been happening inside the party since 2016. It's like, dude, we get it. You're very pure. You're very perfect. There's a war happening outside. Can everybody just shut the fuck up and put your goddamn helmets on and let's just concentrate on that?
Let's fucking get to it.
Yeah. We only have a couple more weeks of this, like level, quote unquote, level of normalcy before the shitstorm starts. Like,
I hate to break it to you, Jay, but we're going to talk about as our main story this week, people are falling down before the fucking race has even started. Yeah.
In the spirit of Mortal Kombat, the first movie, it has begun. It's really fucking stupid out there. So let's jump right into that. Mainstream media, ABC very specifically, has settled a $15 million defamation lawsuit with Donald Trump. Brad, on a scale of furious to my head is literally on fire, how mad are you?
We've been saying since we came back that just fucking break up with mainstream media at this point. Yeah. Because again, like the press is supposed to be like the voice of the people, right? Like they're supposed to be the unofficial like fourth pillar of government. They're supposed to be the ones that are holding power to account. They're supposed to be the ones that are pushing back against things, fucking Washington Post, they have their fucking thing, their slogan, democracy dies in darkness and all this other bullshit. And so you would think that as we lead up to the inauguration to bring dipshit and his gang of goons back into fucking power, that these guys would be girding their loins and they'd be gearing up and they'd be ready to fucking stand tall and be the bulwark against the worst of it. And instead, all of these fucking corporations, companies, editors, whatever, what have you, owners, are just laying down the red carpet for this shit to come through. So the reason, for those that weren't aware, so Donald Trump was suing ABC over a comment that George Stephanopoulos made when interviewing Nancy Mace a couple of months ago, where he was asking Nancy Mace about how she can support Trump in the wake of like the E. Jean Carroll verdict and stuff like that. And he stated that Trump was found liable for rape by a jury. That was the quote that he used. Now, that's a bit of a misrepresentation of the facts. Sure. Trump was held liable for sexual assault by a jury in civil court, not criminally.
Yeah. And by the way, he specifies in that clip that it's a civil case because Mace tries to be like, well, it's not a criminal case, like irrelevant. I would argue, but sure, go ahead.
So what Stephanopoulos said, not 100% accurate, but accurate enough. So Trump sues ABC for defamation. I want to point out the fact that Trump is suing ABC for defaming him after this clip was aired. Like after George Stephanopoulos said this, the man won an election to become the president of the United States. I would find it very difficult for a civil jury to find that ABC defamed somebody who, in the wake of this clip, won the election to become president of the United States. I don't think you could make it. I don't think you could stand up a probable case that Trump was defamed by this. Because if he was defamed by it, I don't understand how he won a fucking presidential election.
Right.
But okay.
But even to me, that aside, they just gave up and settled this.
Yeah, have the fight. Have the fight. Instead, you're just like, here's $15 million to your presidential library because we don't need to be getting into this battle right now. No, you really fucking do, actually.
Yeah,
you literally have a cavalcade of lawyers that are employed by your company for the express purpose of having this fight in court.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess to me, what's deeply irritating about this is you are just, it's like dealing, look, you and I are both parents of children. When you do something like this, you are just reinforcing bad behavior. Okay?
Case in point.
Right. If you don't want it to happen 100 times, I'll do it once. Yep.
In the wake of this announcement, Trump was out during a press conference yesterday saying that he's going to sue the Des Moines Register because Ann Seltzer happened to publish a poll that was an extreme outlier. The Seltzer poll that had Kamala Harris winning by 4 points. Apparently, he's going to sue the Des Moines Register for publishing that poll because that's defamatory, because it was an outlier poll. That was a poll that's so bad that Ann Seltzer's like, well, I guess I'm not fucking doing polling anymore because if I can miss that much, I really shouldn't be in this fucking line of business anymore. To her credit.
Right.
But he's going to sue the paper that published the poll because reasons. Hope they don't settle that lawsuit, because if they do, they'll just take all the polling and fucking throw it out the window.
Yeah, you can throw it out
at that point.
By the way, I'm going to stand very firmly on this, and I may very well be alone on this. I don't think she should have left polling. You got it wrong. So what?
I mean, you got it very wrong.
Okay, fair enough. So did every other fucking pollster in 2016.
I mean,
and all
I know, but every other pollster didn't miss by 16 points. I understand why she's like, obviously, like, my methodology does not compute for this day and age anymore. So, like, I get it.
Whatever. Again, look, I am not in the business. This is, I mean, truly, quite honestly, is my attitude. These guys fuck up and do shit wrong all the time. And everyone goes, you were wrong about that. You should fucking pay a price. And they go, suck my dick. People are wrong sometimes. I'm going for it. And everyone goes, all right. But good people will fuck up and go, I'm going to fuck. Do you guys like seppuku? I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And then I'm going to fucking leave. No, fuck them. Stay in the fight. I was wrong. Suck my dick. Next election, I'll see you then. Every time, and this is a problem with people who have integrity, right? They wanted, they screw up. I don't know what this is like personally, but they screw up and then they quit because they're embarrassed. I say, I was wrong about the election. I'm not quitting. Double down. Like, I'll see you next time. And then the law of averages, it'll work out for you. But quite seriously, this is exactly what the right does. The right does this all the time. They fuck up. They do shit wrong. Trickle down economics and all this other fucking bullshit. And they just dump it all. And everyone goes, historically, you've been wrong literally about everything. And they go, we'll see you in 4. And they just don't budge. Yeah. And we go, I don't want to like, I screwed up. All right. Well, I remain a lead.
We're very reactionary. And right. And they are without inner thought, apparently.
Right. But what happens, and right, like there's like a bad thing about that, obviously, right? You're like on the extreme ends. But the problem is what ends up happening is they stay, more of us leave, then there's 3 of us left, and the rest of them are people who are like, I don't give a fuck about the rules, which is where we are now. So to me, I get her point, and she felt embarrassed and everything else. I'd have been like, that's cool. I'll be back. Fuck.
We went off on an Ann Stelter tangent. Let's fucking bring it back to the problem of ABC fucking paying the settlement. I mean, again, you're caving to this dude. You're caving to this dude, and you're showing, and they're not the only ones, but you're showing that he can sway, or at least this is the perception. He can sway your decisions. He can sway your coverage. He can sway. And again, this is the guy that wants to crack down on press freedom. This is the guy who would love to, if he could, somehow like completely rewrite the libel laws in this country to be something much more akin to like how the UK like has their libel laws and stuff like that.
Hey, why don't we do it so that like you can't just say hateful shit, just like the UK does? Do you want to do that one too? I bet they.
Yeah, they're gonna. That's protected free speech, Jay. Let's not go crazy here. Yeah, with all that kind of stuff. We don't want fucking people being fined for racism. Like that would just bankrupt every Republican in this country. But
would love it.
But when you capitulate to him before he's even in, you're like to the point that you raised, you are sending out the clarion call that we will be run over by this fucking guy. We will just kind of let him have his way. You kind of saw the same thing with Time Magazine. So like Time Magazine made Trump their person of the year. I have to remind everybody, because I feel like we have to do this every fucking time. The Time person of the year does not mean the best dude of the year.
Oh, that's
it just
what it
means the most. Yeah,
that's what it means. Everyone knows.
It just means the most notable person of the year, good or ill.
I mean,
which hard to argue that he is the guy that won that.
I mean, by the way, right? Just as a side note, you're right. Time Magazine Time Magazine's person of the year does not mean that person is the best person of the year. That's true. It just so happens in this case it does. Like that's what they did.
well, the issue was not so much him winning that honor, but more so the owner of Time Magazine like tweeting about it, being like, "Oh, I can't wait to work with you in the next administration," and all that bullshit. Like, what? I'm sorry, what? Like, I thought you guys were supposed to be the fucking objective press. Like, you guys aren't supposed to be carrying water for the incoming presidential administration. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Now, I will give Time credit for this. They did so as part of winning this accolade. You have to do like an interview, like a long interview with Time Magazine. Apparently, they did not edit the interview for clarity at all. They just published exactly what he said, which you can imagine like how that went. Not that anyone's going to fucking read it, because nobody reads Time Magazine anymore. No, but there are some choice clips that were very funny that you can find around on social media. But the media, like, it was always going to be curious to see how they reacted to this, because I felt like that they did a pretty decent job in the first term calling out the bullshit. Like, obviously, like we would have liked the tone of the coverage to be a little bit more true to life and not, like sugar coated or soft language or stuff like that. Like that was a big problem the first time.
I want it to be.
Yeah. But they still called the bullshit out, right? Like they still reported on this stuff and they still called out these things. I don't get the sense that they're necessarily going to be there.
They're not. To
really light the fire at this point. Not the mainstream, at least. Independent journalism? Oh boy, like they're I think they have realized that this is a moment for them to really differentiate themselves. I mean 1,000%.
Not like those fucking cucks over at the fucking TYT. Every chance I get, I'm like, fuck them.
I mean, seriously though, fuck them. I mean, again, like the horseshoe theory in full effect going on right now to that fucking place. Yeah. But it's like if you're counting on the mainstream media to be the bulwark against the encroachment of power in this country,
Yeah,
don't. Because there's a CNN article talking about like Trump and JD Vance and the fucking dude that murdered the guy on the subway were at the Army Navy game this weekend. Yeah, and the article started with like the new rulers in America. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like the rulers? Like that's something we're saying in CNN, not tongue in cheek. Okay. Feels like you might have wanted an editor on that one, but I guess he was out to lunch that day.
Or no,
work on a weekend.
Or they were there and they're like, hey, let's just make sure we get in with our boy.
Let's fucking go for it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think especially this next story coming up will really kind of double down on that. You know, this idea that this Republican administration is kind of regular, like just regular good old Republicans. The reason you know it's not is because of the media's response, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not just taking this like quasi-neutral stance, which is what they kind of do, and then like they go a little bit harder on Democrats for like random reasons. You're like, okay, that's fucking strange. Why are you?
Why? Well, because they know they won't get punched back. That's
right.
Why.
Well, that's true. But in this one, it is very much just like, let's fucking bend the knee, man. Let's all get in order. And this is indicative of what fascism actually is, right? This sort of consolidation of your corporations, and unfortunately in our country or in the US, media is a part of this. They're just corporate conglomerates, right? But that consolidation of those along with government, right? Where you are just you're basically just smashing it all together under one rule. Mm-hmm. That's what you're seeing. This is the problem with having people like, you know, don't read ahead, Jeff Bezos in charge of the Washington Post. You know, there's a fight right now inside, you know, like basically in who's going to get all of Rupert Murdoch's money over, you know, for Fox News and everything else. Like having all of these multi-billionaires who have their hands not just in news, but in so many other things or so many different avenues inside news all over the world is dangerous. And I've said this in a number of places, and I'll say it here. If the United States makes it through this, and that's a big if, and I say that, I don't say that lightly. If the United States actually makes it through this shit, whether that's 4 years or 8 years, who knows? More on that later. If it does make it through, its ability to kind of change what this country is and move forward in a positive way, if it's done right, would be the fucking stuff of legend, right? Mm-hmm. They have a unique opportunity because these guys are trying to rip down the system, and they're really kind of showing everyone like how fragile the system really is, that if people recognize it and we can get through it and put people in place who actually want to fix the country, and people go, oh shit, remember all those things that are super broken? I mean, Americans have the memory of fucking goldfish, so best of luck with that. But if all of those things are true and are working in the right direction, you can not only just shore up the system in which we have, but you can go forward and make huge changes that you would have never been able to. And I hate to say that because that's the fucking accelerationist argument, right? This is, put in the worst people and it'll all fix. Yeah, but we don't want it to happen like this. We just are going to have it happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what I wanted, but if that's the way it has to be, then that's the way it has to be. I have two more points on this. The first one is the irony about everything you just said, like media, like capitulating and stuff like that. It's not going to save you. Again, I don't know how many times you need to see this fucking history lesson played out before you realize that like it's not going to save you either way. Like unless you go full fucking Fox News, basically, like it's not going to protect you.
Even then, because at some point you're going to have to do some reporting of like the president did this like really terrible thing and like there's a ton of footage on it. You're eventually going to have to, and then that's when they will come for you. Like they will. Like it's just inevitable. So
the second thing is, and this is the much harder thing, because capitalism still very much runs through the entire country. It's literally the basis for everything that you see in this day and age nowadays. But we need, as a people, and we need our leaders to also understand as people, there are certain industries that cannot be run for profit because the actual stakes, like what they do, runs in direct conflict with the pursuit of making as much money as possible.
Yeah,
healthcare should be one of those industries. We've talked about that ad nauseum. It's insane that you have a healthcare right? It's insane you have a healthcare company that profited, not earned in revenue, profited $16 billion last year, and people don't blink an eye at that. But shoot a CEO in the street, and all of a sudden everyone's fucking clutching their pearls. But we're not mad about the fact that a health insurance company, a company who exists to provide health care to the insured, profited $16 billion last year. So that's one industry that should not be a for-profit industry. Another industry that really should not be a for-profit industry in any way, shape, or form is the news. Yep. We do not need the news to make money. The news should exist to make as much money as the news needs to be sustainable.
Yep.
And that's it. That's it. You don't need to have Jeff Bezos own the Washington Post and try to make it into a money-making endeavor. Jeff Bezos owning the Washington Post should be a public service to the public, where Jeff Bezos says, you know what? I don't need this to make jack shit. I'm okay with eating like this being a big fat L on my fucking finances at the end of the year, because it's important to have unfettered journalism that exists in order to report on the news.
By the way, it doesn't even have to be a loss. Just zeroed out, dude. Hey,
yeah, just make the line flat.
Right. Hey, Jeff, why don't you just treat it like Amazon? You know what Amazon does? They make exactly $0 at the end. That's right. How they don't pay any
so that they don't have to pay taxes. Correct.
Yeah. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? But he won't.
There's a lot of scuttlebutt that, once again, we're back to Trump wants to privatize, Republicans want to privatize the post office.
Yep.
The post office is a service provided to the American people. It should not be something that you are worried about how much money the fucking post office is bringing in. It should be just something that you pay for because you need it to be done in this country. You need someone that's going to deliver the mail without raking people over the coals. And again, the Republicans keep voting for this shit. They're the ones that are going to be the most impacted by this. I live fucking, 5 minutes away from my fucking USPS. I live 5 minutes away from an Amazon warehouse. If Amazon starts delivering all the mail, I'm going to be okay. My shit's going to be there the next day. I don't got to fucking worry about it. But the dude that lives in fucking bumfuck Kentucky, that lives at the end of a fucking 5 mile long dirt road, who gets mail service like 3 days a week, that's the guy that's not going to be able to get his fucking shit because the post office won't, because Amazon's not going to come out there because it's not profitable for them to come out there.
Yep. By the way, I don't know if a lot of people know this. The post office is addressing the Constitution. Like it is. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7, which gives Congress the power to, quote, establish post offices and post roads, protect the mail, prevent the harmful use of postal facilities, and restrict state power over post offices. So you can try to privatize it all you want, and I'm sure they will figure out some disgusting way of doing this. But this is laid out by the fucking Constitution. Again, it's an Article 1 layout, right? This isn't something that the hippies came up with in 1978 to figure out. This is an Article 1 thing. If you care about the Constitution, which you say you do, you don't, then you should care that the post office not actually be privatized. That doesn't make any sense. And to your point, like having Amazon or DHL or UPS or whatever delivering all of your mail is ridiculous. The post office is an unbelievably well-run machine inside the U.S. government. Is it perfect? Fuck no, it's not perfect. You know why? You know why Republicans think it costs so much money? I know you know this, Brad, but a number of years ago, this is why I don't understand why people vote for these guys. I really don't.
Because they don't know this information. That's why.
No, but I mean in general, the things that they do.
Yeah.
But a number of years ago, like for a long time, the post office
during the Bush administration. The second
right?
Bush administration, yes.
Yeah. But like the post office is a fucking net zero, right? Like it is run efficiently. Like we pay people, they go do a job, you get your mail. Like it's not that fucking hard. During the Bush administration, they were like, why don't we take all of the retirement, like, oh, Johnny's been working at the post office for fucking 35 years. He's going to get $75,000 of retirement, or, $700,000 of retirement, whatever the fuck, over the course of so many years. They just took all of that retirement and then put that on the books of the post office as if those were their salaries, right? So then they're like, look how much debt the post office has.
Right.
But it doesn't have debt. That's the retirement that those people earned. And they're like, this paper says that they do. So why don't we just privatize the post office? And it's like, you just made that, you created a problem. There wasn't a problem. You created it. So this, much like everything else, they're not trustworthy. And they're generally, they just lie to get their way. So yeah, him wanting to privatize the post office makes all the sense in the world. This has been a thing that they've been trying to do for fucking
years. It would be super cool if the mainstream media would maybe dig into that story a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure ProPublica has a story, and they're about it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Them and
so why don't we?
The only one's talking about it. So let's go back into let's talk about the was this the Jeff Bezos one?
Oh, this so like tech folks, like tech folks and media company owners are lining up to give their dowry to the king here, because they want to make sure that they're not going to be attacked. Jeff Bezos has given $1 million to the Trump inaugural fund. Cool. Sam Altman, who owns OpenAI, has given $1 million to the Trump inaugural fund. Mark Zuckerberg, who months ago said, you know what, I'm fucking done with politics, I don't want to be involved in this bullshit anymore, has given $1 million to the Trump inaugural fund. The Trump inaugural fund, by the way, which Trump has basically said, you know what, I don't really see the need to open my books for this fund. I don't think it's necessary to show where this money is going, who's giving it, what's, when we don't use all of it, like what's being done with it, that kind of, like just a slush fund, basically, for Trump and company.
Who's going to stop him? Nobody.
Yeah. So again, if you're worried about, and by the way, all of these people, like Mark Zuckerberg especially, did not donate to the any of the Democratic funds. Amazon did contribute to the Biden inaugural fund, but only about $250,000. Biden also prohibited foreign agents and fossil fuel companies from contributing. You can bet Trump will have no such restrictions on his thing. So I brought this up.
Both parties are the same, Brett. I don't know if you've heard. That's
the word on the street.
Yeah.
I brought this up just to kind of illustrate the point that, and again, I understand why these companies are doing it, because Trump has threatened all of them over the years. He's now going to be in power, and giving him $1 million is a very easy way to be like, hey, like, I'm on your side, bro. Like, let's all be happy. But
annoying.
Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post media company. Mark Zuckerberg owns Meta, a social media company. Sam Altman owns OpenAI, a large, learning language model that is going to be ever more integral in our lives as years go along. The fact that they are so in the tank for this fucking dude and obvious about it should make you very wary about trusting them with your, with not only your dollars, but just your thought, essentially.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why I think it's very, very important that the United States ban TikTok, because all of these guys are clearly not dangerous as fuck in it of itself. Like,
I don't know if you saw, but out of nowhere, Trump's now considering reversing the TikTok ban before it takes place, if possible.
Why?
I wonder. Because it'll make him popular. That's why,
yeah.
And probably because he can shake down ByteDance or TikTok directly.
Yeah,
don't be surprised to see TikTok CEO maybe donate to the Trump inaugural fund and undisclosed sum of money And then all of a sudden, like magic, now the TikTok ban goes into place before Trump becomes president. But what if like the first week in office, he's like, actually, we're gonna get rid of this TikTok ban. It was upheld in court. Court's like, this is kosher. Like, this is fucking happening. Let's fucking go. And by the way,
what would stop? I don't think TikTok, right? Oh, Congress voted for it.
Congress will unvote for it. No problem. Republicans control it. They can get behind it. All of these security concerns magically will go away as soon as Trump is in charge.
And everyone's like, I get to do my dances, so that's all that fucking matters.
And again, like I'm not saying that they should ban TikTok. Like you and I have both been pretty vocal against the reasoning that they're like the pretty flimsy reasoning.
It's dumb.
Yeah, for banning TikTok, but not applying that same standard to American social media companies. I'm not going to be upset if Trump does repeal that ban. I think Democrats were stupid leaving that out there as an accomplishment.
I did not understand. Look, if you're going to ban it after the election. Why are you running out there like, hey, young people, you like TikTok? We're getting rid of it. Right. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we got your vote. Cool. Banning that shit. Like, do it then.
But again, like this is what happens, as you mentioned earlier, when you have a fascist government, when you have an autocratic government, whatever term you want to use. Kakistocracy is the popular one that's going around nowadays. Nice. Oligarchy, yeah. Mm-hmm. But when you have these, everything becomes pay for play. Everything becomes that's a real nice social media company you got over there. Should be ashamed if something were to happen to it, and you're just shaking down like it's a mafia racket, honestly.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true.
Is what it becomes.
Yeah, I'm confused as to why. Look, you know what? I was going to say I'm confused as to why they don't realize they need to fight. But I think I'm actually being a bit naive. I think they absolutely understand what's happening, and it's not that they don't want to fight; it's that they quite literally know financially for them it's beneficial not to. Right, and this is why fascism is so fucking dangerous, especially because of corporations. Like fascism has its own hooks into society that are dangerous in and of itself. But when it is coupled with corporate power, which is, quite literally the definition of it, but there's so much consolidated corporate power in America, far more than there was in Germany in the 1930s, right? Mm-hmm. That's what makes it even more dangerous, because what will end up happening is even more heightened version of what we're seeing, right? Like, these guys are bending the knee or whatever, but we're seeing that in public. Mm-hmm. Once the administration starts, you won't see those bends, and shit will just start to happen. And you're like, wait, what's going on? And before long, they're rolling tanks through your fucking neighborhood. Right?
It's very interesting that you don't think that we'll just continue to see this shit happen and out in the open.
No, I think there's a lot of it.
I disagree. I disagree. I think that the point has been proven that you as a company and the Republicans as a party pay no penalty for doing this shit out in the open. And because they do it out in the open, and we've heard this point many times about Trump, because they do it out in the open, he doesn't get scrutinized as much as if we were to like dig and find this like secret email chain between this stuff. Like the fact that they just do it so brazenly fools people into thinking that it's not actually as big of a problem that it is. I don't know if you saw the other news that creeped out today. No. By the way, I don't know who was interviewing Eric Trump, but someone interviewed Eric Trump, and he said about the Waldorf Astoria in DC, the former Trump DC hotel that they then sold to Waldorf to because they didn't need it anymore. Hey, we saved that hotel once. We could certainly save it again. They're looking at buying the fucking hotel back. They're looking at buying the fucking hotel back because it worked so well the first time. They're just like, man, that's easy fucking money. Like we'll make that money back 20 times over in 4 years. Come on, it's a great investment.
Can we just move on? And they'll just move on, Brad. Can we just move on? 4 years. Can we just move on? Jesus Christ. What the fuck? Are you serious?
Again, it's all going to happen out in the fucking open because people
look, you know what?
Don't care.
you know what? Let me just shut the fuck up. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
That is unreal. That is an unreal bit of information. Thanks for ruining the night. Appreciate you.
I have to bring, like, misery loves company, dude. Like, I got to bring you down, dude, to where
you
I am right now.
Motherfucker, you could have told me that earlier. I could have had a couple of hours.
It is much more fun to hit you with it on the show. Are you kidding me? To get your head in your hands upon learning that fucking tidbit information. Get the fuck out of here. But again, you get the country you vote for. This is what people. This is what people wanted. This is what people say they wanted.
Is this what
allegedly? Allegedly, we've been sounding the alarm bells for fucking years. We had 4 years of this shit. We saw it happen in plain sight.
I am very interested. I know, like, I really enjoy Leopards Eat My Face subreddit. It's one of my favorite. Wait, what's happening? My healthcare? Yeah, dumb. So I really do enjoy it, but boy, is there a part of me that can't wait. Like, I'm of the attitude of, like, come on, January. Come on, like, let's get to it. Get through the inauguration. I ain't watching that shit unless look. Hopefully, like, as he's like, and then his fucking heart explodes and he dies. That would be, like, super awesome. But call me if that happens, okay? Like, I don't give a shit. I'm not watching. I'm not listening to that dude give another fucking shit speech. But my whole thing is this. I want the ball to get rolling. Let's start. Bring on the horse shit, because I want to see just how many fucking days or weeks or months it's going to take before these guys go, I don't like that guy. And I'm not talking about the MAGA faithful, right? Like, those fucking idiots, they're dead enders, right? They're fucking Thelma and Louise off the cliff. But I'm talking about the regular Joes who were like, yeah, he's going to save the plant, or he's going to fucking stop the transgenders from kickboxing, or whatever the fuck their pet peeve is. It's tough for someone. That's a really important thing. But I'm waiting for that like when gas prices were really high under Biden early on, that was Trump's fault, right? Like, I'm waiting for that moment where they go, wait a minute, eggs are still expensive. I was told they would be cheaper. What the fuck? That's what I want. Because in that moment, that's when we can all go, dude, we fucking told you. And now everything is.
We don't have to wait. We don't have to wait for that moment. It's
they're freaking out
happening.
Yeah, they're freaking out.
It's already happening. Trump's out here like, we're going to lower prices. It's going to be great. All of a sudden, he wins the election. It's like, well, it's really hard to lower prices once they're already high. Like, it's really tough.
Who said that? Me? New phone. Who this? Like, get out of here. No, he doesn't. And the funny thing is, you literally have Republicans who are like, I understand that prices are going to be high for a little bit. I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. You wanted those prices down, but now it's not important. Now the price of eggs is not important. Now the price of bacon is not important.
They won. No, they just said the shit they had to do to win. You didn't expect them to actually do any of that stuff.
No. I mean, here's the thing. No, I didn't expect it.
Yeah, no, I'm about to say we didn't.
But here's the thing. They're still going to have to face reality, because it's not like he's going to come in and keep shit the same. He's going balls to the wall. So it's not that the prices are going to remain at their level and they're like, well, we're fine with this now. No, baby. Things are going to skyrocket, and then we're going to have to sit and watch you pretend as your wallet is just burning a hole in your pocket that you're okay with this. And that's the part I can't wait for. I can't wait. Good. Bring in ABC, CBS, NBC, get fucking man on the street interviews. I want to watch them seethe and get super fucking angry. And then they cut to a liberal person like, what'd you think? And they were like, yeah, no, we knew that was going to happen. They should have probably not voted for him. Okay, sure. Oh, dude, you going to lose your health care? Probably should have voted for the fucking the black lady. Just saying. Probably would have kept it around. I don't know. Probably. But both parties are the same, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So now the New York Times, speaking of bending the knee, and actually this isn't so much bending the knee in the same way.
It's showing you who they are, who it's in their interest to protect, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Take this story. That's very good.
Yeah. So, obviously, we've talked about Luigi Mangione now for the last couple of weeks, the guy who allegedly killed the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, as you guys said look for on Black on Black Cinema. We have to say allegedly, but he did that shit. Like we're all fucking.
Those pictures of him smiling with the fucking Dr. Doom cowl on. I'm like, yeah, that's him. Come on.
We're well aware. So it was interesting. We talked last week that when he was arrested, with a ghost gun in his possession and a manifesto that might shed reasons to why he perpetrated the crime. The New York Times, according to internal messages, resisted not only publishing the manifesto, but also were reticent to even publish his face, pictures of his face in the paper, saying that the, quote, news value and public service of showing his face is diminishing. I would assume because they were worried about the public sentiment in some corners of the internet that was growing for this person.
So let me get this straight. The New York Times thinks that it's a bad idea to show his face because people might get like all jazzed up and like yeah, gung ho about it. Or maybe even on the other end, like, let's try to find the guy. Like, maybe you could make some like BS argument about that. Here's the thing. Here's why I'm not buying this. They show the faces of school shooters all the time. They show their names all the time. Mm-hmm. You're only trying to protect rich people and the CEO class because this guy had the balls. And look, like it or not, he had the balls to do something that is pretty fucking severe, right? This is horseshit. You don't give a fuck about kids getting killed. Here, report on that. Here's the fucking guy's face. Here's video of him recording it. And like, you put all that shit out there. You don't give a fuck. You don't care. But him having his face out there and you reading his manifesto somehow is beyond the pale. By the way, allow me to do you a favor, New York Times. Let me read you the manifesto. It's not very long. Okay. This is from the same website. Quote, to the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial, some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some staggering or straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the U.S. is the number one most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly 42 in life expectancy. United in the indecipherable largest company in the U.S. by market cap behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. It has grown and grown, but has our life expectancy? No. The reality is these indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have the space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. But many have illuminated the corruption and greed, Rosenthal and Moore. I'm not sure who Rosenthal is, but I think that's Michael Moore is who he's referring to as well. Decades ago, and the problem simply remained. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly a power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty.
And I want to point out that this was first published not by a mainstream website, but by Ken Klippenstein, an independent journalist.
Yeah.
Even though mainstream sites, mainstream outlets had this well before Ken Klippenstein did.
And by the way,
it's not like he was the first guy to get it.
But by the way, there's nothing in this is like, whoa, oh my God. Like, no, he's telling you. I did this because these guys are fucking destroying the country for profit. There is no one who has health insurance that doesn't already know this. There's not a person who has health insurance that doesn't already know this.
Here's also my issue is that you're the newspaper. Your job is to report what is newsworthy. Now, if you don't think that the manifesto and or picture of a guy who committed the most notable murder in the country in, go back however many months or years you need to, is it newsworthy? I guess that's an argument that you can make. I think it's a little bit of a silly argument, considering all the stuff that you do run with and the things that you post that you do post about. You know what isn't newsworthy? Giving opinion space to Brett Stevens, who said actually CEO Brian Thompson is the real working class hero and wrote an entire fucking op-ed about that fucking shit.
He's the real working class hero. All right.
Yeah. So I
guess.
Yeah. So I understand truly where they're coming from. They don't want their stance is, this Brian Thompson guy is one of us. We don't want to glorify this killer. And my point is, you're not glorifying a killer by simply publishing the facts.
No, and look, here's the thing. If you this is like a real boomer logic, right? Which is, if we don't show his face, no one's going to search for it. No one's going to know. We're going to know. We have the internet. Bro, people move faster than the speed of fucking light on shit like this. They found this guy's Twitter account and fucking Goodreads account, all of this shit. People on the internet found it. It wasn't like the New York Times did it. People on the internet found it. They're going to find out what he looks like. They're going to find out who he is. You trying to and by the way, this is what always ends fascism in a lot of ways, besides bombs, is trying so desperately to hold a society with an iron fist closed. Shit will get out. It does. You can't do that. It doesn't ultimately work. It'll work for a minute, but it'll ultimately backfire. So I say all that to say, remember these moments, right? I talk about this on Black on Black Cinema too. Remember the people who are doing you fucking dirty in these moments, right? Before the shit really hits the fan, right? All the rappers who sided with Trump and all the, the ones who were fuck all of these other people. And then you go buy their albums because 6 months from now you forget that they did all this dirty shit. Remember the people who fucked you over when you needed their help. Remember the New York Times and remember whoever the fuck else, the Washington Post and all these other, and the LA Times who didn't post their recommendation for president. The Washington Post did the same thing. Remember those people and remember those businesses now. Because when the shit hits the fan and people go, I just need information, and you run to the New York Times or Washington Post, remember who they are because they showed you who they were. These guys don't give a fuck about you. They don't. They give a fuck about their financial bottom line. And at this point, that requires them to bend the knee. They want to protect the CEO class. They don't want to tell the truth. And look, I hate to say this because it's fucking true. You're going to have to not only look at independent media, to be quite honest with you, right? But even we all have our bias, like we do. But you're going to have to look at that. And you know who else you're going to have to look at? The jester is the best person to make fun of the king. Sometimes you're going to have to look to people who can make fun of him. Chris Rock, perfect example, goes on SNL this past weekend and goes, yeah, it's a real tragedy, but sometimes drug dealers get shot. Talking about Brian Thompson. That's true, right? That is art telling you, pay attention to what the fuck is happening because it does in fact matter, right? Those are the signals that you need to look at. This corporate media shit is going to do damage, not only to themselves, but to you. You have to understand what their position is. And clearly their position is, this whole class warfare thing, we're not really interested in
nothing. That. Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
But that's very true. There's someone who wrote an article, and the title was, "The last thing America needs to do is move away from the culture wars and move into the class wars." And someone wrote, No, that's exactly what needs to happen. Like, we need to move away from this culture war shit about this shit that is like these minuscule things that separate us and talk about the things that bring us what is our commonality. We have more in common with people, even if they're conservative or they're black, white, East Asian, first generation immigrant, fucking, family came in on the fucking Mayflower. Wherever they fucking are, if they're a working class person in your same grouping, you have more in common with them than you have different than them. Oh, well, that person's gay, or that person's trans, or that person fucking likes the blue team and I like the red team. Those things are not relevant. Rich people want you to fight each other so they can keep going to the bank and withdrawing cash and destroying the country. Pay attention. That's the fucking point. So to this bullshit, no. Look, you can say, oh, he's not a hero, whatever. Fine. I somewhat agree with you. But what I would say...
Ironically, you're taking the Chris Rock approach to the CEO killing. Like, I'm not saying he should have did it, but I understand.
Right. And so, I say all that to say, like, these guys, not only do they not give a shit about you, but don't fall for the fucking, like, oh, well, he did something bad, so ignore all of the things he said. Ignore all of the points that are relevant and intelligent that he said. Should he have shot the guy? Probably not. Probably. But that's not the point. The point is why someone would even want to do that. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the real question. The point is, why is healthcare insurance so bad? Why is healthcare so bad that someone felt the only way to bring the conversation up was to shoot someone in the back? No one's saying it about how the fire department work, the works in the United States. No one's like, we got to shoot a fire marshal. No one is saying that. There's a reason.
And by the way, that's why the business class is so up in arms about this, because they don't give a fuck about Brian Thompson. They care because a lot more people are asking the question now that weren't thinking about it before, because it's raised the issue in the consciousness of like, hey, yeah, like, why are they making so much money? Why do they deny so many claims? Why are they using a fucking AI that fails 90% of the time as their claim denial tool? That's the questions they don't want you to ask. That's why they're trying to fucking put a lid on the shit as much as they possibly can. And look, like again, the mainstream sources in this country are going to let them do it. Politicians are going to let them do that. Apparently, Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, yesterday had like what was described as like a therapy session with a bunch of business executives to quell their concerns about their safety in the wake of the CEO shooting. And New York is considering building what they're calling like an executive hotline that CEOs can call, or like that executives can call if they need like, directed like quick assistance in the wake of something like this firing off again.
Hi, 912. What's your emergency?
Yeah.
My back hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. Like now that you're in the Stonecutters, we'll give you the real phone number.
One of us. Yeah.
But that's where their minds are right now. Like they are firmly like, oh, won't somebody think of the poor CEO? Like we must protect our business leaders who might be under fire now.
Quite literally. But you know what? I'm glad they're scared. I am. That sounds really like callous. Like, you're right. It does. But I'm glad they're scared, because maybe that will make you realize that not only your decisions have real consequences, right? Mm-hmm. And they do, right? And they have real consequences.
Again, for human beings. Something you've said that has stuck with me as long as I've known you, after I heard you say it, that continues to be true to this day. It is very clear that there are some people that are walking around amongst us who've never been punched in the face.
Yep.
And this is obviously like a grand escalation of that sentiment, essentially.
Yeah, look, that is my personal philosophy. When you are a kid, punch your friends in the face. Everybody needs to know what it's like so that you don't get a bunch of society of habitual line steppers, right? That's how you solve that. Oh shit, I might get punched in the face. Probably not gonna say that. Exactly.
Yeah, I did enjoy that the time that it happened to me.
Right.
So I'm not gonna do the thing that's gonna get me punched in the face.
Right. I've punched a person in the face, and I've gotten punched in the face, and you know what? You learn to curb your language a little bit and maybe go, this dude looked like he hit hard. Like, you just, fuck it, it's not worth it. Some shit's not worth it, right? Some shit's not worth it. But but quite literally, people don't have humility. They just don't have it. And you don't rise to a position like Brian Thompson's or Donald Trump with a level of humility, right? You cannot get to live the lives like they live, like, fuck people, without someone never stepping to you and be like, hey, like, I hear you, like, you're saying some wild shit right now. I will fuck you up right now. And you're like, oh shit, this might happen. That's the reason, dude. And like, I'm dead serious about that. People need, however you need to learn it. I think punching in the face is a very great lesson. Because you remember, the ringing in your ears will help. But people need to learn, like, you cannot treat other human beings any way without consequence. And Trump has learned that. Trump has literally learned that he can say and do anything and there are no consequences. That's why he's just like, fuck it, I'll just say whatever the fuck. If he really
that's a problem for all of us. That he's in that mindset. That nobody's had truly held him accountable.
No one's ever checked him. In his life, no one has ever checked him. Can you imagine walking around and be like, I'm the rich motherfucker in the 80s and just saying wild shit to people? And everyone's like, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. It's because he comes from rich parents and he's been shielded and he gets to do what he wants. No one has ever been like, come here a second. let me holler at you around the corner and just kick the shit out of him. That's why. And look, it's never too late. It's never too late. Hire me. I'll do it. Let's all pretend to be shocked, Brad. Let's all pretend. Steve Bannon.
I called it. I just want to say not only did I call it happening, I called the stated reason that they're going to.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like,
yeah.
I mean, in fairness, you calling this easiest call of all time. Like,
look, I'm still gonna take credit for it.
No, you should.
Yeah.
Like, are the new Jordans going to sell out at the stores? Yeah. Like, it's an easy call. Like, this is it. Local drunk Steve Bannon is already claiming that Trump can run again in 2028. He says in a video at the, I don't know, local fucking rapist convention, he basically says, I don't know, maybe we do it again in 28. Bannon told the New York Young Republicans Club. Are you guys up for that? Trump 2028. Come on, man. So his logic here is that the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution, ratified in 1951, clearly states that, quote, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. But he's saying that Trump would be allowed to run because they have not been consecutive. Doesn't say anything about consecutive. It just says
won't be elected. It can't be elected more than twice.
So
which he was. Yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna make a film recommendation right now. Anybody, and I don't think you've seen it, you should go and watch.
I've seen Dave.
It's not a good movie. That doesn't teach you anything. Except for people will throw money at anything. But people should watch the movie Civil War by Alex Garland that came out, last year? You should really watch it. It is about the Civil War that pops off inside the United States, and it happens because the president decides to take a third term. And people are like, oh, word? We'll see about that. And it ends in a way that, to not put a finer point on it, is perfect masturbatory visuals. I was like, I could watch this all day. Like, this is, I don't even need pants. So yeah, this is dangerous talk. This is very dangerous talk. And look, Steve Bannon knows this is bullshit. He knows it's bullshit. Not that he doesn't want it to happen, but that he knows this is a violation of the Constitution. But what he's doing is he is doing a thing that Republicans often do. You say a ridiculous thing, and everyone goes, fuck you, that's ridiculous. And he goes, huh. And then he just says it again. And they just keep saying it.
And every time he says it, it just gets a little less ridiculous and a little less ridiculous and a little less ridiculous until all of a sudden you have a bunch of like median voters in this country, I'm using air quotes for those that are not watching the video, who say to themselves, well, you know, maybe there's a point. Maybe they did mean 2 consecutive terms when they wrote that event.
Right. And you will have people debating whether or not this is actually a legitimate thing. And that to me is fucking horseshit. And frankly, if we're going to read it like that, if we're going to read that it's, and again, I'm not debating, this is fucking moronic nonsense. But if we're going to read it that, well, it's not consecutive or whatever, fuck it. Obama can run. That'll be his first time running, right? And then he can, obviously have a re-election, and then he can take 4 years off and then just run again. Right? Like, who cares? Joe Biden can run in. Kamala Harris, everybody. Just who cares?
Here comes W. Like, man, I sure got bored painting those pictures.
Yeah, let's fucking do it.
Become president again.
We're coming back to the Middle East, everybody. Like, this is nonsense, but it is designed to mainline horseshit into the American psyche. That's all it is. They know it's false. They know it doesn't make sense. They know exactly what the Constitution says. They know exactly the fact that it was ratified in the 50s, right? This isn't fucking ancient history where they were like, we don't understand how time works in the fucking, 1700s. That's not what this is. They know exactly what's going on. They are trying to do this so then the assholes will start debating it. Oh, well, maybe they should. Maybe fuck that.
I just want to make the point.
Break on this ever.
I just want to make the point. This amendment was ratified after like the best president ever served like 4 terms or was elected 4 times in a row.
4 times, yes.
Like they did that shit after this happened. The guy that did a lot of really good shit for this country, and they said, wow, like, man, he did a lot of really good shit. It was probably really good, especially during World War II, that he was in there for this whole fucking time. Let's still never do this again.
Yeah, this is too much. Is too and look, if you're talking about, and again, I don't play around with this type of shit, like, period. This is bullshit. I don't agree with it at all. Let's not even agree. Factually, this is nonsense. If I were to do any overhaul of like how the presidency works, I don't know that I would necessarily term limits 100%, right? Mm-hmm. But I would give more than each term. Like, maybe you only get 1 term, but it's 6 years. Like, that's what I think actually makes more sense. Just give the person 6 years and then that's it. Because the idea of running or not running for re-election, like the second you come in, you're constantly like, give me money for my re-election, right? Right. You have a time limit and you are there to do a job and then you get the fuck out of here. Now, there is an argument to be made. You become
a lame duck as soon as you step in.
Right. So you could become more dangerous, right? Like, so
or ineffective.
Or ineffective, right. Where we just like, all right, we just got to hold out for fucking 6 years. That's a little bit harder to do, obviously. But like, it's a thing that I would legitimately consider. But the idea of ending presidential term limits, no, fuck off. No.
Well, because the minute that happens,
you're a king.
It's gonna happen. Like that would happen. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, the person would be like, cool. Oh, I get to run forever. Well, guess what? I'm gonna do whatever I can to fucking consolidate and destroy any of the voting system that I can stay by.
Yeah, like, do we really need presidential elections anymore? Because they're probably just gonna vote for me anyway. So do we really even need to hold the election? Like, you guys can have elections in the states and for like Congress and shit like that. But I don't need to be on the ballot. I'm good just chilling out here.
I mean, honestly, you probably would be like, do we even really need a Congress? Like, feels like a thing that's some really old school shit from like 10 minutes ago. We got to get rid of it. So no, this is just a way to mainline this into the psyche of conservatism. And get the ball rolling of them going, well, maybe. And then these same fucking people will be arguing this in 2 years or 4 years.
To tie it back to the earlier point of why you can't fucking put any stock in mainstream media, I guarantee you, mark my words, within the next year or two, I'll give myself 2 years leeway, you will see this point argued on like CNN
on a panel,
as if it were a valid debate.
Yeah, 100%.
This is something we need to consider. Like, no, you don't. Here's the Constitution. This is what it says. We don't need to talk about this anymore.
Yeah,
and
you want to try
to have some fucking
right. You want to try to change the Constitution? Fine, have a constitutional convention, get the votes, and then we can have that conversation. But you don't have the votes for that.
Okay.
Like, you just don't. By the way, future Brad, future CNN, feel free to call me and have me on. I will be as brutal to whatever dumb white male conservative you have on who's like, well, actually, man, I'm happy to go on. You're being an asshole, and you know that you're wrong. Can I not come on the show again? Yeah, probably not. Okay, but still,
totally worth it.
Totally worth it, dude.
This clip will live on the internet forever.
Yeah. That's the first and last time they let Jay on mainstream news. Disaster.
Yeah.
Also really hilarious. But yeah,
better than me because you'd be like, hey, you know this is wrong. My retort would be, are you fucking stupid?
Like, you're not allowed to.
Like,
say
are you a fucking?
You're not allowed to say
that word. I just fucking did.
It's done.
Like you guys like we're on cable. I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Fuck your 5 second delay. Get out of here. Fuck. So yeah, it's nonsense. And you have to recognize exactly what the method is. They're gonna throw this shit out there, and like Brad said, 2 years from now, they're like, well, maybe
let's have a discussion about it.
No,
let's have like here we're going to the Republican side that says he can, and the Democrat side that says he can't. And who's to say who's right? The Constitution. That's fucking who. Why are we talking about this?
Right. By the way, if we want to go that route and have these kind of horseshit debates, fine. Then why don't we have a massive fucking conversation about banning guns? Right? Why don't we have that? It's in the Constitution. We don't need to have a conversation about it. Oh, is that different?
Jay, there was a school shooting today. It is too soon to talk about banning firearms.
How many people died? 5? 5 kids?
5.
Yeah. Too soon. Cool. Yeah, but price of eggs, right? That's real important.
Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.